One river system, two nuclear-armed nations, and 240 million people whose survival depends on water that now flows at the mercy of their rival. In May, the mighty Chenab River carried 35,000 cusecs of water into Pakistan. The next morning, 3,100, a 90% drop, overnight, without warning. For 65 years, a treaty written by the World Bank kept this river safe through 3 wars. That treaty is now dead in all but name, and what happens next could redefine what nations go to war over in the 21st century. This is the Indus, one of the great rivers of human civilization, running from the Tibetan Plateau through Kashmir and down the length of Pakistan into the Arabian Sea. 9 out of every 10 Pakistanis live in its basin. It irrigates roughly 90% of the country's crops and generates most of its hydroelectric power. And since April 2025, the treaty that guaranteed Pakistan's share of this water has been suspended, placed in abeyance by India, and kept there for more than a year. This week, as Pakistan launched an international campaign to restore it, New Delhi's answer was one word long: no. To understand the stakes, go back to 1947. Partition drew a line across the Indus Basin. The headwaters went to India. The fields that drank from them went to Pakistan. After a decade of disputes, the World Bank brokered a solution. Signed in 1960, the Indus Waters Treaty split 6 rivers: the 3 eastern rivers, Ravi, Beas, and Sutlej, to India; the 3 western rivers, the Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, to Pakistan. Pakistan's share, roughly 80% of the system's water. It is often called the most generous water-sharing treaty ever signed. And it was extraordinarily durable. It survived the wars of 1965 and 1971. It survived Kargil in 1999. It survived Mumbai. For 65 years, water was the one thing India and Pakistan refused to weaponize. Until April 22, 2025, when terrorists killed 26 civilians at Pahalgam in Indian Kashmir. India blamed Pakistan-based groups, and within days announced the treaty would be held in abeyance until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures cross-border terrorism. 2 weeks later, the two countries fought a brief but intense military conflict. The guns stopped. The water fight didn't. April 2025. India suspends the treaty and halts data sharing on river flows, flood warnings, reservoir operations, everything. May 2025. India begins reservoir flushing at its Chenab hydroelectric projects. Downstream, Pakistan watches the river swing wildly, from 35,000 cusecs to 3,100 in a single day. Through 2025 and into 2026, India accelerates work to expand reservoir capacity on the western rivers and revives long-shelved canal and diversion plans. Its water minister declares the goal openly. The flow of Indus water to Pakistan will stop. In May 2026, the Court of Arbitration in The Hague rules that the treaty remains binding and limits India's ability to control the rivers. India rejects the court's jurisdiction outright. On June 30th, Pakistan convenes an international conference in Islamabad. On July 3rd, India's foreign ministry responds. The treaty stays in abeyance. No negotiations. No timetable. Here is what makes this existential for Pakistan, and it comes down to storage. When India holds back or releases water without notice, most countries could ride it out using reservoirs. Pakistan cannot. By most independent estimates, Pakistan can store only about 30 days of river water. Its own government claims 90, against the 120 days experts consider the minimum for water security. Its per capita storage is 150 cubic meters. The United States has over 5,000. China has 2,200. Pakistan lives river to mouth. The consequences are already measurable. For the current Kharif planting season, Pakistan's water regulator declared a 21% shortage in the early season. Punjab, the breadbasket, was allocated just over 31 million acre-feet. Sindh, under 29. Farmers are pumping groundwater that is itself running out, and the aquifers under Punjab are falling year after year. Step back, and the numbers tell the story of a country running dry even before this crisis. In 1951, Pakistan had 5,600 cubic meters of water per person per year. Today, it has about 860, below the 1,000 cubic meter line that defines official water scarcity. Population growth did most of that. Climate change is doing the rest, as the Himalayan glaciers that feed the Indus shrink, decade by decade. Analysts see three layers in India's strategy. First, leverage. Water is the one pressure point Pakistan cannot ignore, and abeyance costs India nothing day to day. Second, infrastructure. India cannot physically stop the western rivers today. Its dams are run-of-the-river, built to generate power, not to store. But every year of abeyance lets India build toward real control. Bigger reservoirs, new canals, expanded diversions. Third, precedent. If a World Bank-brokered treaty can be unilaterally frozen, every transboundary river on Earth, the Nile, the Mekong, the Euphrates, just became a potential weapon. Pakistan's officials have already said the unthinkable out loud. Its defense minister warned that water could become a cause for war. Between two nuclear powers, that sentence deserves to be taken literally. Three scenarios now compete. Diplomatic thaw. Back-channel talks revive a modernized treaty. The outcome most experts still consider likeliest because India's own diplomats know the precedent cuts both ways. China sits upstream of India on the Brahmaputra. Slow strangulation. Abeyance becomes permanent. India's infrastructure grows, and Pakistan's water crisis compounds into food inflation, energy shortfalls, and mass migration from dying farmland. Or escalation. One drought year, one unannounced dam release, one miscalculation, and the world watches two nuclear states fight over a river. A treaty that survived 3 wars is in the deep freeze. A river that feeds 240 million people now runs on one government's discretion. Pakistan has 30 days of water in the bank, and a clock it cannot stop. Whatever happens next, negotiation, strangulation, or war, the age of water as a weapon has already begun, and the whole world is downstream of the precedent.